So basically, another historic episode of NXT is in the books. What's going on, wrestling fans? My name is Jose Ramos Jr., and if you're a fan of pro wrestling as much as I am, then you've come to the right channel. Of course, when I'm speaking about NXT, I'm talking about the TNA and NXT crossover that has been taking place over the course of the last few months. This has really become one of the more exciting times to be a pro wrestling fan, not only because of the success that AEW has sustained, the success that WWE has been on, but seeing how the young crew of NXT have been meshing well with TNA. For those that follow the channel and follow the podcast, you would know that I'm not the biggest TNA wrestling fan. I do have a general knowledge and sense of its history, but I wouldn't call myself so much as a diehard fan of TNA. I'm still learning things to this day about TNA's history, which I love because it's always fun to go to a different promotion and learn so much about its history and how it has influenced the history of pro wrestling. But in recent weeks, I've been trying to brush up on my TNA. Obviously, you'll be seeing a little bit more about TNA wrestling on the channel itself. But with that being said, NXT having a very fun and influential episode of NXT when it comes to its crossover with TNA. Not only were we able to see the return of Joe Hendry in the main event, tag teaming with Trick Williams to defeat the current and new NXT champion Ethan Page, but also his partner Shawn Spears. On top of that, what was a pleasant surprise was the reunion of the Rascals. We saw Trey Miguel, we saw Zachary Wentz join up with Wesley as he seemingly was about to retire from NXT. And I don't know about you, but for me personally, like I said, I have a general knowledge, a general sense of TNA's history, but seeing these three together was such a pleasant surprise. I love when reunions that seem heartfelt and genuine come across on TV, and I'm very much looking forward to their matchup against Gallus next week on NXT. If you saw my video earlier this week about NXT and its success under Shawn Michaels, you would know that I kind of alluded to the fact that Shawn Michaels likes to go back into his bag of tricks and all his greatest hits and bringing them back to the forefront here in 2024. But that is not the only trick he has up his sleeve, because in recent months, as I mentioned, with the cross promotion with TNA Wrestling, it has really created a newfound buzz for the promotion. It has also increased the level of anticipation and interest within the NXT brand. In fact, there are rumors and speculations, or maybe just, if anything, it's a fan theory, but perhaps we will bring back the Worlds Collide event in a way to promote TNA versus NXT. I think ultimately the dream would be to get someone like Moose, someone like the System, which also consists of Eddie Edwards. We have Brian Myers and Alicia Edwards as well onto NXT. I don't know in what faction or in what fashion that they would be brought onto NXT TV, but to see the World Heavyweight Champion as well as their main faction in TNA on NXT would be fantastic. And as we know, Charlie Dempsey will be jumping over to TNA Impact, crossing the line to be competing in his matchup this week on Impact. Real quickly, I want to talk about Joe Hendry and obviously the first person to cross the line, Jordynne Grace. I think a lot of speculation has been made online from wrestling fans that whenever these contracts end for those two individuals, they would be jumping over to NXT. And I gotta say, after watching Joe Hendry's matchup in that tag team main event, I think he fits very well in the NXT style. I think the WWE format of wrestling, as we know, is much different than other promotions. And I just feel like he seems like such a fresh breath of air for a lot of fans in the WWE, in NXT specifically. Seeing his presentation, obviously with the theme song, his move set, I think his personality matches real well. I got a real kick out of him and his presentation in NXT. I could definitely see someone like a Joe Hendry following the ending of his contract, whenever that may be, jumping over to the WWE. And if I'm the WWE, why wouldn't I be offering him a sizable contract? He's very over with the fans, not only in arenas, on the internet, all across the country. In fact, his theme song itself trends on Spotify as one of the highest played songs of all of Spotify, essentially. But combining him along with the like of a talent of Jordynne Grace, who can help bolster up an already pretty stacked women's division in NXT. The two inclusions of these stars have not only been as a successful asset to TNA, but in the long run, it could be a detriment as well, because those are two of their biggest stars. And I think maybe not now, but maybe in the foreseeable future, we will be seeing Jordynne Grace and Joe Hendry on NXT TV from now on moving forward. If I'm TNA right now with these two under contract, how am I not pushing them to the moon? Obviously, Jordynne Grace is the current reigning and defending Knockouts Women's Champion, but you look at a guy like Joe Hendry, who I predict will win the world title by the end of the year. Obviously, they have their ongoing storyline with Moose and the system. In fact, he's defending his title in a six-pack challenge elimination matchup upcoming at the Slammiversary event, which Joe Hendry is a part of. Now, will they pull off the unthinkable and perhaps provide a little bit of a surprise for the fans by crowning Joe Hendry? I don't know. It's yet to be seen. But I definitely could see them giving the title to Joe Hendry, given all the expectation and all the level of hype around his gimmick, around his character. How can you not? I think whenever you have a star of that caliber becoming on the rise and becoming a fan favorite so quickly, you want to attach the rocket to him as soon as you can, or perhaps wait for the right moment. And obviously, I don't know how things run in TNA wrestling. I'm not behind the scenes, but I do think eventually we will see a World Heavyweight Championship in the future of Joe Hendry. With that being said, a lot of expectations can be made regarding the future partnership between TNA and NXT, but go ahead and sound off in the comments below. What are your guys' thoughts on this crossover? What do you guys think is the high potential mark for TNA and NXT in terms of their crossover, and which superstar do you want to see next on Impact or on NXT, vice versa? With that being said, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thank you for joining me in this short little update video regarding NXT, and I will see you guys in the next video.